Welcome for those who are already here. I'm going to set up a few things while we're getting started. So if you're here, let me know in the chat. And you can write down your name and where you're calling from, where you're located, so I can see who's here. And I can see people join, so that's great. Let me check a few things before we start. I can see that Janine is here from the UK. Hi, Janine. Hi. I can see your name, but you're from Liverpool. Hi. Welcome to. I'm really happy to have you here today. I wanted to say tonight because it's 8 p.m. here, but it's also night in the UK, so I'm perfectly fine there. Hi, Helen from California. Welcome. I'm gonna just wait like a couple minutes to give people a chance to get in the webinar and to find their way. And then we're gonna get started. Hey, Mariska. Hi. And Marie-Louise. Hi, Marie. I'm so happy that you're here as well. And Deshanta from Canada. Wow. Welcome. Very happy to have you tonight. And today, for those of you who are on the American sort of northern hemisphere. Yeah, we're going to get started in a few minutes. So for those who are joining, please leave your name and location in the chat so I can see where you're from and who's here with me, because that's really nice for me to have some names and some information from who is joining and who's here with us. It gives me the feeling that I'm not talking to a screen only, and that's really nice. So I'm really happy to have you. Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started. Hi, Tess from Texas. Hi, so happy to have you. We're just going to go and see who joins our call. I just want to start this webinar. The webinar is called 7 Key Secrets for More Energy. Before we are starting with the content, I will just explain a few things about the webinar itself, what you're going to get from me, what you can expect, so that you know that we're all here on the same page. I am aiming for about 19 minutes, so that will be 9:30 European time, which will be 3:30 Eastern time, approximately. And there will be a replay, just so you know. So if you were wondering if there's a replay, so that's going to be sent out as well. But I want to tell you up front that I would like to explain a few things at the end of the webinar about a summer course I'm hosting. So if you want more information about that, you can stay to the end. And of course, I absolutely love you to stay till the end. And there will also be a Q&A at the end of the call. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand. You can also put your questions in the chat. But when you raise your hand, I can see that there's a question still open and I can address it at the end of the call. So that's really helpful if there's a question from your side. And I can see that Hilda's here. Hi, Hilda. Nice to have you. And Marie-Louise, oh, that's okay. Just if you have to leave early, of course, that's okay. I'm going to explain a few things at the end, but you won't miss out on the content, and there's a replay available. The only thing I would want to do it at the end is explain a bit about my summer course coming up, and yeah, there are limited spots for certain options. So if you don't want to miss out, you might want to stay, but I just want to give you that upfront because I don't like, to surprise people at the end with something I'm going to host. So just to be honest and authentic, that's what I really think is important. Anything else? Let me see. So yeah, you might want to switch off any devices or tabs you have open on your computer, because we're going to do a visualization or meditation, and sometimes it can be disturbing if there's something coming in like email or other messages. So you might want to switch them off. And so you can also take more advantage of the content I'm sharing with you. What else? Oh yeah, something really important. There will be a replay, so please be aware that this call is recorded. So if you have a question that is personal in nature, be aware that this is going to be shared with others, just to make sure that you know this. And let's just make a commitment to each other that everything that is shared here or shared in the replay will not be shared with like the whole world, because yeah, it can be a vulnerable place, and I'd love to be in integrity about that too. Right. Let me just start with a small, like a little short visualization to get us started and land in the energy we're going to talk about. So I'm just going to share my screen with you so that you have a beautiful picture in front of you. Let me see how to do that, like this. So we're going to talk about the 7 key secrets for more energy, and it will be about feminine energy management strategies, so you can make the best of summer. That's what we're talking about tonight. I'm going to just remove my face for a moment so you can see the picture I have here. And let's just start with a short visualization. So you might want to close your eyes. You can also look at the picture if you prefer that. Just do whatever feels good for you. And if you close your eyes, and you might want to sit up straight or supported. If you have problems sitting up straight or it's not comfortable, make sure you're comfortable in a chair or on the couch where you are. Being comfortable is really important. So that's more important than sitting up straight. Make sure you're comfortable. And place your feet on the ground. If you can, place them on the ground flat. And take a few moments to connect to your feet, to the soles of your feet. And connect them to the earth, really, steady, stable. Feel how you are supported by the earth. You might be in a building somewhere, but still that building is on the earth and it will support you. And you can also feel the support in the places where you're touching your chair or the couch you're sitting on, your legs, your back touching the back of the chair. And then take a few moments to sink into this feeling of being supported. And focus on your breathing. You don't have to change your breathing, you can just follow what is happening for you. Slowly inhaling and exhaling. Just follow your breath, your natural breath. And notice what is there for you now. Your breath may be deepening just because of the awareness that you're giving it. You might experience your breath being shallow or high in your chest or in your belly. Could be anywhere in your body, really. Just focus on your breathing. Then slow down your breathing a little tiny bit. Just slow it down a little bit, just not too much. Don't change it too much. See if there's any tension in your body that wants to speak to you, wants to make itself aware and bring itself to your attention. If there's a movement that you need to be more comfortable, just let it be. And then visualize that you're in an open space in nature. A beautiful space or place that you've been to, or maybe you've never been there before. There's a soft breeze touching your skin. And it's a sunny, warm day. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your face, on your hands, your arms, and your shoulders. Feel how the sun warms you from the inside out and from the outside in. And let the light of the sun and also the invisible rays of the sun penetrate you with light. Starting at the top of the head, the crown. This golden, warm, bright light enters your skull, your head, streams down your face, down your neck, down your throat, and then breathe it into your chest, into your heart space, where you can open up your heart space with this golden, bright, warm light. And you could feel it cascade down your arms into your hands and fingers, and down your back, and through your body into your pelvic bowl, where it's swirling and flowing before it cascades down over and through your legs, down to the ankles and the feet, into the ground, where your feet are still planted firmly and stable. You are now this channel for the light of the sun. From your head down to your toes, you're completely filled with this gold bright light. And it's warming your body. Taking a few moments to fully let this energizing feeling coming through, touching every cell in your body. Breathe it into every cell. And then slowly come back to your body. Move your hands and your fingers and your feet a little bit. Maybe you want to move your shoulders. Wake up your body. that is now filled with this bright light. And when you're ready, take a deep inhale and exhale. And you can open your eyes if you're ready. Coming back. So, I hope you're all here, landed, feeling some energy there flowing through your body. And let's continue. If you have anything to share during the webinar about your experiences, or if you have any questions, you can also put them in the chat so I can see them. If not, I will just go on and tell you what I want to share with you tonight. Today's content will be about the 7 key secrets to more energy. And I'm going to just tell you a little bit about myself as well, because not everybody knows me who's on this call. And I think that I just love to share that with you. So you know who is talking here. So my name is Willemijn. I'm the owner and founder of Elemental Life. Elemental Life is a platform, and this in the meantime became my business. And I support women, ambitious women, who are suffering from energy issues or low energy exhaustion, and who want their energy back, and who want to make impact in the world because they know they can, and because they just feel that they have a vision that they want to share. And sometimes energy issues or chronic illness can hold you back for a short while or for a longer time. And I'm here to help you all, if you are here and if this is you, to experience more energy, because I think that's really important for well-being and health. So why I was a medical doctor. I was trained as a medical doctor. I started my career in psychiatry. That was a long time ago. I think it was almost 16 years ago. I worked for 6 years in psychiatry, did my residency in psychiatry, worked with a lot of women with unexplained somatic illnesses, from psychiatry point of view. And what I found when I was working in that field, that there was a lot of misunderstanding about chronic illness in the first place, and that the medical world didn't have an answer to that, because as a psychiatrist, I was seeing patients who were diagnosed, who couldn't be diagnosed with something that the doctors could find. And then because nobody knew what was going on, they were sent to a psychiatrist. And I always felt that something was missing here. And that these people didn't need a psychiatrist, but there was just no diagnosis. And there were lots of women with energy issues and burnout and chronic illness, chronic pain, chronic fatigue syndrome. And it was really, it was really hurting to see them in pain and to see them so desperate. And due to working in psychiatry and becoming a mom, you can see my 2 daughters on the photo. 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago, I became a mom, and I could feel that my energy was just draining from being in that field. So I think that was the first time that I was running into burnout symptoms, but I didn't recognize them. And I switched careers. I went to another corner in healthcare. I went to a company that was a healthcare. It was more of a business environment in healthcare, where I was a project manager and an operational manager for some time. And I did that for 8 years until I became ill in 2016 myself. And I had to have surgery, and that was the first time that I really encountered the medical system from a patient point of view, which was shocking to me. I did know that there were some things not really right in the system, but I hadn't worked in clinical care for so long. And then I suddenly was a patient. So then I figured, oh, what's going on? This is not this is not a place I want to work in anymore. And then due to illness, I got a severe burnout syndrome. I had to leave my job and I started Elemental Life. First, it was a platform where I just shared my healing journey. And over time, I did my coaching training. I became a holistic vitality coach and a certified career coach, so I can help women with energy issues like I had myself and chronic illness, because I too am an ambitious woman and I want to make a change in the world. And I cannot change the healthcare system by myself, obviously, but I would like to make a difference in some way. And this is my way of giving back, and this is my way of being of service, in a way that is aligned with my values and is aligned with what I see that is needed, and is also aligned with my personal energy. And so that's why I left healthcare and how I started Elemental Life as my business. And in the meantime, there were some life events going on as well. And in 2014, I got divorced, and I was really lucky to meet a fantastic man, and he's now my husband. You can see him in the picture. His name is Paul. He's obviously a little bit older than me, but we have a very nice family with the four of us, and my children are with me like half time, 50% of the time. And one of my biggest passions is gardening. So I have my own vegetable garden, and we have 2 chickens. So yeah, that's my real passion, to be outside in my garden, and just that's so rejuvenating and reinvigorating for me. So now you know a little bit about me. So let's go into the content. Yes, this is what I want to speak with you about today. Energy awareness, feminine versus masculine energy, cyclical living, prioritizing restoration over performance, connecting with nature, and creating sacred space and changing your beliefs, because all of these are really, really important in energy management. There are obviously a million different habit change programs in terms of food, diet, exercise, supplements, anything, name it, anything you could do to increase your energy in a very, I would say, goal-getting, I have to fix my body quick, and I need to supplement this because I have a lack of, that kind of energy. And what I found was that this was not, for me, in my personal healing journey, was absolutely not helpful, because there are a million approaches, there are also a million reasons why your energy could be off. And for what I think is the most important is that your body knows best. Your body knows. It has divine wisdom. It has ancient wisdom. It has the ability to heal itself from everything and anything. Like if you have a cut or wound, it will just heal. So our body knows what to do. The only problem is us. We stand in the way of what our body knows best. So there are other things more important for energy management, and I will discuss them with you. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. Whoops, let me see if I can just go back and go out of this. Yes, because I'd like to just speak to you and see myself, and that you can see me as well. Okay. Oh, you couldn't see my screen. Oh, okay. Okay, so, well, I will just share with you then what I was going to talk about, because that's helpful. This is what we're going to discuss. So energy awareness, feminine versus masculine energy, cyclical living, prioritize restoration over performance, connect with nature, create sacred space, and change your beliefs. So I hope you can see it now. Let me see. Is this visible to you? Just let me know in the chat. Somebody can just type in the chat like yes, or Okay, great. Perfect. Great. All right. So I'm going to come back to you now. There you are. There I am. And just going to go through the topics for today. The first one, awareness. Awareness is really important because if you're not aware of your energy, you have no awareness of whether there's a problem or not. So that's really important to start with. So if I asked you now this question, how much energy do you have now as you are now sitting in your body, maybe today or like the past week or something? What's your energy level on a scale from 1 to 10? Just give me a number, anything. Just, you can type it in the chat what your energy levels are. Says 7, that's pretty okay. Helen 4, Helen says 6, and Hilda says 4. 8, 6. Yeah, so it's like sort of okay. And this is maybe this is something you have never even done before. Just being aware of, hey, how am I feeling today? How am I feeling now? That awareness is really, really important, because if you are aware that you are having the energy, your energy is an 8 or a 9 or a 10, you also know, it's okay, I'm pretty happy and I'm pretty okay energy wise, and you don't have to do anything about that. But if there's an energy issue and you feel exhausted, tired, you can feel like we can put words to that. But if you have an experience of where you are on a scale from 1 to 10, people just understand your brain understands, like 1 is really like really, really low and 10 is amazing. And otherwise we can be stuck in words that could mean anything in between. And if you are aware and tune into your body every day or a couple of times a day, where you are in your energy, you can also make better decisions, because that's something you can then change to you can do something about it. If you are having energy which is a 3, so for example, when I was in burnout, I could feel like the severe phase. I could feel that there were days that I couldn't, I wasn't getting better than a 2, and that's really, really, really low. So then if you have energy on a scale of 1 to 10, which is 2 or 3 or 4, that's really low. And you might want to do something about that, because it will affect you, and it will affect your emotions. It will affect your health. It will affect your sleep. It will affect like lots of areas in your life. So secret number 1 is awareness. Just be aware every day how your energy is, because that is the first step to changing something, making other decisions, and making decisions in the direction of more self-care. So what kind of decisions we could make? Well, you could notice, for example, what made you feel like that. So, for example, say you are generally, your energy is an 8, and you walk into a room and you have a discussion with someone, like with a colleague or somebody you know, and after that you feel drained, and you check in with yourself, and you just feel, okay, my energy is now a 4. What just happened there? And then you can be aware of maybe situations or people that drain your energy in some way. So it gives you the tools to see where you're leaking energy, where you are just, something is happening that is draining you. It's also the other way around. So for example, if there's something that gives you energy, you can also feel a shift in, and you can see that, for example, the scale will increase. So what gives you joy, you can also discover that. One really important energy drain, I will just gonna give that away, is overstimulation. overstimulation in the form of technology or TV, news, that sort of, we're always on our devices, are always on our screen. We're on our screen now as well. And, you're now taking in some information, but we are bombarded all day with information we maybe do not even ask for, or maybe we don't even need. And that is overstimulation, because it's information that their brain needs to process. So it takes up energy. So one exercise I would recommend, and if you brought a pencil or a pen and a paper, you can just write them down. So make note of where your energy levels are daily, and make a list of the things that drain you and energize you. So you know for yourself what is helpful and what is not. The second secret is knowing the difference between feminine energy and masculine energy. We have been conditioned, I would say. We have been taught a lot of masculine energy in our educational system, and society is also built on a masculine paradigm, and where it comes to energy management. So we come from a time where it's not even that long ago, where people were living with the seasons, living with the natural daylight cycles, and that is just before the industrial age. So that's about 150 to 200 years ago. People were not. They were just in touch with nature, with the natural rhythms more. And when industrialization began, there were factories, and there was artificial light, and people could work day and night. They could work night shifts, and they could work like 12 hours in a row, which couldn't be done in winter normally, but all of a sudden that was possible. And the whole work, like the time that we're working, we now call that 9 to 5, but it used to be like 8 to 8 or something. But it's getting better. 9 to 5 is better than 8 to 8, but still it's driven by the idea that we have this rhythm, and that's every day, that it's the same, that we can work from 9 to 5 and have the same energy all day, every month, the year, every season. And that's just not true. But it's the masculine energy cycle that is used there. And in the body, men have different energy rhythms. So men have a 24-hour energy rhythm, and women have a 28-day rhythm. So I will talk about that in the next secret, but it's really important to know the difference between the two. And from a more energetic point of view, feminine and masculine energy are also different. So the masculine energy is like more the competitive, goal-getting, achieving, pushing through, determined energy. And the feminine energy is more nurturing, collaborating, supportive, creative, chaotic. It's a cyclical. It's a different it's a different kind of energy. And this masculine energy of pushing and striving and achieving and competing is driven by testosterone in the body. And women have testosterone, but a very, very small amount. So where we as women have been since like maybe just given them like 50, 60 years or so, and we are now able to take part in the workforce, and we have earned our place as working working human beings as well, alongside men. And but we are working in a masculine system, and every corporate organization, or like most corporate, just not overgeneralized, but most corporate environments are hierarchic environments, are competitive environments, and that's a masculine paradigm. And for women to succeed in a masculine environment like that, we need testosterone, and we don't have that much of it. So what happens in female bodies is that we do not drive on testosterone. We are sort of we're running on adrenaline and cortisol, which are the stress hormones. So when we need to perform, when we need to compete or do something that requires pushing through, in the female body, the adrenal axis will kick in, which is the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is responsible for the whole stress response in the body. And that is okay to do that once in a while, but if we have to go through that stress response every day, every moment of the day, we are chronically stressed, and that leads to problems in the body. So that is why a lot of women are suffering from autoimmune diseases and more cases of thyroid problems, because we have more stress hormone related issues. Depression, anxiety are also stress related disorders. So this is why it's really important that we start to recognize when we are in masculine mode or feminine mode, and when we are using our feminine energy, or when we are using our more masculine energy. And if you are aware of the difference, you can make a choice. You can deliberately choose something else. So if you can feel that you're pushing and striving and competing, and it's all more of a masculine sort of energy, you can choose to stop that and do something else. And at the same time, that's not easy, because we have been brought up in this masculine paradigm. And that starts in kindergarten. So achievement and success, it's really hard, and you have to work hard, and you have to just climb the ladder, and it never ends. So it's not easy to make different choices, but it can be done. So feminine energy is more, just to repeat that for now, feminine energy is more intuitive. It's more like working together with others, collaborating, supporting each other, nurturing, more flow, aligning with what is in the moment. And that might be chaos and confusion. It could also be like the creative void. And receiving is also a major feminine quality, instead of getting it, which is more a masculine energy. So secret number 2, know the difference between feminine energy and masculine energy is really, really important. And you might want to write down for yourself or in the chat, whatever you feel like doing. Maybe write down one thing where you feel that you're really, really in your masculine energy, and one thing that is more feminine for you. And I'm really, just share with me if you want to. You can also write it down for yourself, no problem. If you don't want to share. I'm going to the third secret now, because it ties into that. Oh, Marie-Louise has a question. Can you explain what you're asking again? Oh, yeah. So I just described the difference between feminine energy and masculine energy. So my question is, let's just split the question. Can you list one thing where you can see that you are coming from a really, really masculine energy? So I will give an example for myself. My masculine energy is really strong. So that is why I ran into burnout. And that is why I needed to learn these feminine practices. My masculine quality, or my masculine, what I do really like easy, is structures and systems. So, for example, if I If I'm designing like a course, or if I'm doing something in like a project in my house, I see immediately the whole structure of how it needs to be done. I can set goals really easily, and I'm going to make every deadline that is opposed, that is coming up, I will make it. And then I will not even check in with my body again. So that is something that I needed to see and learn and change. I hope that's clear, Marie-Louise. If that's not clear, just let me know, but I hope it's clear. Janine says, feminine energy is in my movement. Yes, movement is all about feminine energy. And masculine energy can in my speak. Yes, that's a place that we can see it as well. And I have that too. So if you think I'm going too fast, let me know, because I have that too, that I can just blah, 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 be really masculine. Work is masculine, and with children I'm feminine. Oh, that's interesting. So it's more like the place where you can nurture with your children, Taz, is more feminine, and work is more masculine. Yeah, I can see how that's I can see how that can happen. Yeah. And is there something that you want to change? Would be my next question. Is there something that you would like to change with your children, or maybe with your work, to sort of balance it out more? Okay, so Marie-Louise, masculine in organizing. Yeah, organizing is really like a masculine thing. And I'm feminine in creation of art. Yes, and I know that you create beautiful baskets. It's wonderful. So yeah, that's really, creation is really a feminine quality. Tess says both needed change. Okay, yeah, maybe more balancing that, yeah. And Marie-Louise says, I like to organize in a more feminine way. Yeah, I'm really curious what that means for you. So I'm just gonna go into the next secret, which is cyclical living. Cyclical living, let me just close the chat for a sec so I can see myself in here. Cyclical living is one of the ways to embrace more of the feminine energy cycle. We have, as women, we have 28-day menstrual cycles on average. Some have longer, some have shorter. And this cycle is our natural energy cycle. And it runs it's sort of ingrained in our DNA, in all our tissues, in how our body functions, in our hormones, everything. And when you are aware of where you are in your menstrual cycle, that can be really helpful for energy management, because of the hormonal changes throughout the month. You can, these hormones, and I can go into more detail, but I don't think that's really necessary for the whole purpose of this call. But there are 4 different hormones that are playing a role in the menstrual cycle. And these 4 hormones are in your blood in a different cocktail every day of the month. And they have effects on the body. So they have effects on your tissues and on your nerves and on your brain and on your muscles. And so these hormones, they do not only affect your menstrual cycle or your reproductive system, but they have more effects in the body. And they have profound effects on the brain. So, for example, if you're menstruating, concentrating might be harder because there is a different blood flow going to different areas of the brain than when you're ovulating, for example. And this, we all know that. We all know that this, when we are menstruating, when we're having our period, we are like tired and we can think straight, we can make decisions, or it might play out in some other way for you. And it annoys us, but what's really going on is that we have more there are more connections happening between the left and right hemisphere of the brain, which makes us way more creative when we're menstruating. But that's something we are not really aware of. We can only feel like how tired we are, or how, how difficult it is to concentrate. But there are also things we can do better at different points in the month. And if you know where you are in your cycle, you can work with the energies instead of trying to do something at a moment where your brain is not, not working with you, or where your energy is lower, and you try to make something happen. That can be really difficult. So for energy management, this is really, really, really important. And this you can also apply this to the daily, like the 24-hour cycle. That's called the circadian rhythm. And the circadian rhythm is basically a rhythm that is changing every 90 minutes to like 90 minutes to 2 hours, something like that. And our energy goes through these shorter cycles. And for example, you can, for some people, have more energy in the morning hours, like the really early morning, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I'm not one of them, by the way. And others have more energy like around 10 a.m., 11, 12, or like the start of the afternoon. But these cycles are shorter. And if you are aware of when in the day you have more energy, it's also easier to plan certain activities according to your circadian rhythm. And it's really helpful if you can find out what this is. There's also, of course, the seasons, which is also part of cyclical living. The seasons are like winter, spring, summer, fall, obviously. And during the different seasons, we also have more subtle changes in the body. So our sleep is affected because the natural daylight is shorter in winter, which also affects our circadian rhythm. And in summer, we are more, our sleep cycles are shorter, and we are more energized by the warmth and the light of the sun. And that is really something, if you start tuning into that, it gives you a different awareness of your energy level and how you can work with that. We are so used to doing, and this is something, ever since I learned about cyclical living, this has sort of puzzled me. For example, during the winter months are really a time of rest and recovery, and turning inwards and sleeping more and doing less and storing energy. And what we do in our Western societies, we close the yearbooks like in December. So we are like working like crazy in December, and we have the holidays and nobody's there. And so it's a really busy month. And December it's such a busy month that our bodies are not able to cope with that. You can do that for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden you can't. So yeah, it's really something that puzzled me. And I've heard about some companies that are aware of this now, and they started taking longer breaks during the holidays, and starting like closing the yearbooks earlier, or spreading it out until like later in the year, which is interesting because I think it's really helpful to not work that hard during the winter months. Let me see, cyclical living. You can also track the moon cycle if you are not cycling, like not having a menstrual cycle. For example, when you are on the pill or other contraceptives, when you are in menopause, or you do not have, maybe you don't have your uterus anymore. You probably then have your ovaries, so you will still be cycling, but it's not visible in a period. But it's really interesting to track what's happening for you there. But if you do not cycle anymore, if there's no hormonal cycle, you can track the moon cycle, because the moon cycle reflects the female reproductive cycle. That is also something to tap into, be aware of. All right. So if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and I will read them throughout the webinar. I'm just going to go to the next step, because I spoke about rest and recovery in wintertime. And that is secret number 4, is prioritize restoration over performance. We are so used to overperforming that we do not even see it as overperforming anymore. We think it's totally normal that we are so busy all the time, like on social media all the time, busy like with work, friends, social life, exercising, and there's no place for rest anymore in our lives, in our society. And restoration is something that our body needs. Due to artificial light and due to our device use, our sleep is compromised. So where we, like 10, 20 years ago, would get enough sleep to handle our overperforming during the day, we do not get enough sleep anymore. So sleep, the average sleep duration is decreasing over the last decades, which is really alarming, because sleep is the way the body resets and restores everything that is damaged. So when you sleep, your body restores your cells, your body restores tissues, and it gets rid of toxins that have been built up. So sleep is essential. And for example, the brain, there are always toxins in the brain, because when we just, when we function, the body creates toxins. That's just our metabolism. And sleep is the only way that the brain can get rid of toxins. And if we do not get enough sleep, these toxins create damage to our brain cells. And so that is why the decreasing sleep amount of sleep is so alarming, because we are sort of collectively damaging our brains. Another thing why restoration is so important and why we need to prioritize it is because of the stress response. So our body has a stress response, and it's driven by adrenaline and cortisol and the sympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that puts us into action. It puts us into fight and flight, for example, when there's danger, and it puts us into action. And if we do not recover from that, the body stays in that state of stress for too long. And cortisol has a few effects on the body, and I will name a few. Cortisol inhibits cell formation. It inhibits tissue formation. It inhibits the creation of a growth hormone, like the excretion of growth hormone, and the growth hormone is important for restoration in our body. So those are a few things that cortisol does. It does many more things. It suppresses the immune system, and the blood pressure goes up, and the heart rate goes up. So there are lots of effects of cortisol. And if your cortisol is high for a long time, you are in a chronic stress state, to say. Yeah, that's the correct word, the chronic stress state. And then there is no time for the body to restore the tissues and to restore the nervous system and to restore the immune system. And you can do that for a little while. So it's really important that if you are if there's something going on in your life that is dangerous, for example, you're almost hit by a truck on, when you're crossing the street, or there's something going on which is a real threat, cortisol needs to be higher because you need to fight, flight, and go, and be in action. And your body needs to be in this action mode. But this action mode, this state of stress, suppresses really, really important restorative processes in the body. So it suppresses the immune system. It suppresses the digestive processes. It suppresses reproduction, because it's not really handy if you're like, in like a war situation. You don't, the body doesn't want to reproduce because it's dangerous to have a child when you're in danger. So that's not really helpful. So the body knows when it has to shut down the processes that it doesn't need in times of fight or flight. And the nervous system has another part. It's called the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for restoration. And the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in after a few hours of sleep. So you have to sleep a few hours, or you have to rest for a longer period of time for the parasympathetic nervous system to take over and to decrease the stress response in the body, so that digestion can happen, removal of toxins can happen, the restoration of cells and the building up of the cell tissues, the cell, like the walls of the cell, and the cell division can happen. So if that's really, really important for our body to sustain itself. So if we are for a longer time in this stress state, all these processes do not happen. And your body breaks down. It literally breaks down. And digestion doesn't happen anymore. And then like every single system just shuts down. And I've experienced that personally. What that means heart problems, it means breathing problems, it means digestive issues, inability to sleep. There are like lots of symptoms related to that. And chronic anxiety, chronic fatigue are definitely symptoms of a body that has been in a stress state for too long. So to get it out of the stress state, there's only one remedy, and that is rest and recovery. And that is why I do not promote like exercise programs or like rigorous diets or something like that, because those will put stress on your body even more. To get your body in a restorative mode, in recovery mode, you need to do the things that are not stressful for your body. And although exercise is really great for your body, and it's really important to exercise regularly, it's important to rest first. So like people like who are doing sports on high levels, like top athletes, they know this. So they know that when they overtrain, there's no way that the body can recover other than to rest for a longer period of time. So there's such a thing as athletic burnout, which is basically the same thing as like physician burnout or nurse burnout or mother burnout or any kind of burnout. It's just a state of stress and it's lack of restoration. So I am really preaching rest and restoration for energy management. It's really, really important. A few other things that put stress on your body that you want to be mindful of are dehydration, high sugar intake. It's really, really stressful on your body. Caffeine, alcohol, the usual suspects are stressful on the body. So if there's anything that you think you should be, if there's anything that you feel that is stressful to your body, and that could be anything, it could be sleeping too late, or working too much, or drinking too much coffee, or anything, just write it down for yourself to see if you can start changing something like that, because it will make a huge difference if you remove stressors from your life. Let me see. I see a question from Deshanta. How is it that men run on a 24-hour cycle? I thought that men also have a natural monthly cycle. As far as I know, they do not have a monthly hormonal cycle. What I do know is that men can run, like when a man is in close contact with a woman for a longer time, he can also experience changes in the hormones, but testosterone has a 24-hour cycle, and the female hormones, which are estrogen and progesterone and LH and FSH, have a monthly cycle. So they have it's a different pattern. So I hope that answers your question. I want to go to the next secret. Secret number 5 is connect to nature. Why is connecting to nature so important? For one, it's connecting you more to the natural cycles. So what I spoke about earlier, the cyclical living secret, is that if you go into nature, you can see the seasons happening. You are more connected to what is going on around you in nature. You can see the growth in the growth of the plants, like the blossoming in spring, and also the leaves turning color in fall, and it reminds you of the cyclicality of life. So in a more spiritual way, it reminds you of how growth and abundance and success and life in general are cyclical processes, which can help to pull back from the linear way of striving, pushing through, achieving, setting goals, never making them because life happens in the meantime. I was discussing this morning, I caught myself saying something that still came from this belief of linearity. And I was in the car with my husband, and we drove the kids to school, and we drove home, and we were speaking about failure and success, and how setting goals in the future keeps us in the future instead of in the now. And it was such an interesting moment, because we were just having a conversation, and all of a sudden I heard myself say, yeah, but you have to set goals to have success. And immediately I knew, oh, this is so not true. But it's still a belief that is really strong in me. So I have to be aware of that. I do not, say that to myself, because it's not true. And we can see that in nature, that nature is not linear. And we are human beings, but we are nature. We are not above nature. We are nature. We are animals in a sense. We have a primitive brain. We have a reptile brain. We have a mammalian brain. We still have these natural urges, natural parts in our being. So if we think that we can set a goal and make it, life will throw you a curveball, and it's never going to happen, which will then make you think that you are a failure or you didn't make your goal for some reason. And nature reminds us in like a soft and gentle and spiritual way of how life is cyclical. And going into nature is also important for reducing stress. So what we discussed earlier, that restoration is important, and way more important than performance. Nature is proven, it's proven that nature decreases cortisol and the stress hormone, the stress response, being in nature. and that the color green is calming. So if people are placed in a green room or in nature, or with, you know, seeing like a green environment, that the blood pressure goes down, the heart rate goes down, breathing becomes more steady, and the stress response is decreasing. And it's also proven that stress-related illnesses like anxiety and depression and burnout are relieved, and people suffering from that are really helped by being in nature. So that is why connecting to nature is another way of gently increasing your energy in a soft way. And it just reminds us of where we're coming from and who we are, really. So another thing you might want to write down is to set apart a moment in your week or a moment in your day where you try to go into nature, and try it at least to do once a week. Could be a walk, could be like a hike, could be gardening. You can also bring nature into your house, like I did. It's now dark in the back, but I took some flowers from my garden. I always have some house plants around me. It makes me feel connected to nature. And yeah, just carve out a moment for yourself to see if you can bring that more into your life. It will make a huge difference. And secret number 6, create sacred space is the 6th secret. What I want to share about that is that we have lost our connection. Lots of people have lost the connection to spiritual practices, to spirituality in general. So a lot of people are not a member of the church anymore. And I know that's different in the United States. It's different, and in Europe, there are like almost nobody still is like in the church. And we have lost our connection to this integral part of being human, of a community, of it's like a sense of belonging, really. So we are more alone, and we live more isolated than ever before. And we can live in huge cities with millions of citizens and still be alone and isolated. And it's really important to feel connected to something. And creating sacred space can do that for you. So what I mean by creating sacred space is that you can create a space in your home where you can meditate, or where you can just be with your thoughts, be with your feelings. You can create a space in your body where you can do that. Because sacred space really is about a feeling. It's about the feeling of the sacred space within, where you can just be with yourself and feel what is going on, and be aware of how you are doing, what your emotions are telling you, what your thoughts are saying. So it's not really outside stuff. It's not, you can, if you want to, you can bring it to, you can create an altar, you can create a beautiful place in your house where you put crystals and ritual objects, or beautiful stones, or feathers, or oracle cards, or anything that you use. And that's wonderful, because it primes you to beauty, and it primes you to meaning. But the most important part is that feeling of space within, the grounded, connected feeling of belonging to something or some greater meaning. So it's not about what you do, and there's no perfect recipe for creating sacred space, but it's important for well-being and for connection. So that's something that I would recommend. And you can connect to yourself by breathing and paying attention to your breathing. So that's a suggestion. You could do a morning ritual. You could do like affirmations that you like, or have a daily gratitude practice. All these practices prime you to the sacred space within, and to and they enhance your intuition. They create more sense of who you are really, what is important to you, and then it gives you the chance to decide from that place of your inner core, who you really are and what you really want to do. And that helps you and strengthens your choices in daily life when it comes to energy management, what you would like to um, do or have more of and have less of. So where are you leaking energy? Can you make choices in that? Or where you want more energy, can you make choices in that? So that's what sacred space is all about. Marie-Louise says, what about connecting to others? Other ways to do this and feel a sense of belonging. Yeah, that's a really big one. That's a really big one. And something that is, I think, is challenging for a lot of people, and connecting to others, supporting others is one of the feminine qualities. And this is also something that we can see how difficult this is for people to connect to just to the neighbors, or reach out to a friend. And I can say this because I know that how difficult this is also for me. It's still something that doesn't come naturally. I do not ask for help or support really easily, and often we don't even know what the people in our lives are going through. And so it's a really important question. And what I can suggest here, and I know, Marie-Louise, you probably do that, is to find a group of women or like-minded people where you feel safe and supported, and reach out to them. Just do that. Just, make space in your calendar to reach out to people, to support others, to ask for support. You can join a women's circle, or a group, like a discussion group where you can come together weekly. Those are suggestions that might help you in connecting to others as well. Which brings me to the last secret: change your beliefs. We discussed it already. And I told you the story about this morning, how I just caught myself in a belief that I have had for like my entire life, probably. And there are so many, when we grow up, there are situations, there are people say things to us, things happen to us, and we draw conclusions about those situations, and we turn them into beliefs. We don't do that consciously, of course, but unconsciously we turn them into beliefs. So, for example, my parents are teachers, were teachers, they're now retired. And one of the most important things in my upbringing was achieving in school. So when I get home with, like, say, an A grade, or like the highest grade, I would get, attention, and I would get love, and they would see me and they would congratulate me. And when I would come home with, for example, math was not I was not really great in math, but I managed. And when I got home with that and just had a C grade, because it was a really, really difficult subject, they would say to me, why isn't it an A? So there the belief started that I am only seen and appreciated when I am successful. And another belief was, which was really, told me, and they told me like a million times, you can only achieve something if you work really hard. And I think that a lot of us have this belief ingrained in us, that you can only become something or somebody in life when you work really, really hard. And even if you're good at something naturally, something comes easily to you, you have this natural talent or skill, it feels like not valuable because we didn't work for it. We didn't work really hard for it. And that maybe you can see already where I'm going. If we have these beliefs about success, about work, about how we need to be somebody, how we could be seen, then we have this limiting beliefs around what could happen as well. So we have these blocks that sort of prevent us from living in how, in the now, how we're feeling now, in our natural talents, in what's happening in the flow for you, what is how things are just happening for you and naturally. So there's this energy, there's so much energy on the planet. Like there's cosmic energy, there's the energy of the sun, there's atoms and molecules, and there's so much energy in the planet. And there's so much energy in your body going on, in your brain, in your heart, in your cells. There's energy everywhere. And still, we can feel really exhausted. So how can that be the case? So where are we blocking the flow of energy, the natural flow? Where are we blocking that? Where are you sabotaging your energy flow, your natural, easy, abundant, your natural healing capacities? Where are you blocking that? So what beliefs do you have? What do you need to stop doing? What would happen if you had no beliefs, for example, if you had no blocks, if you had no scarcity feelings of, oh, there's no energy and I don't have the energy? What would happen if that was just falling away? And I'm just curious if there's anybody who has, who knows, oh yeah, this is a belief I have around work, success, spending energy. I cannot, that was one as well, for me. I can do this because then I will have spent my energy and then there's no energy left. That was one for me as well. So I'm really curious if there's anyone who wants to share about that, and what so what do you believe about energy or abundance or success? Is that something that you could have? Is that something that you have to work for? Is that something that you have not enough of? I'm just interested. If you want to share, please go ahead and do so in the chat. I'm really it's a vulnerable subject. I know that as well. So it's not something that's really easy to share about. And there's one other question that could help you find these blocks, these mindset blocks, and that is the following question. So I'm going to just, I have to do this right, so I'm going to do it slowly. So so if you had all the energy in the world, so if there's not, there's always this flow of energy and you have like 100% and you feel 10 every day, all day, every moment in time. You have all the energy in the world as accessible. What could go wrong? Or what would be wrong about that? It's a bit of an interesting question, but there's sometimes we can immediately see, oh yeah, but if I have all the energy in the world, and then something comes, and then it could lead you to your block. Deshanta says, limiting belief, my natural creative energy is not profitable. Yeah, that's a big one. Yes. And does it then prevent you from, sort of using that natural creative energy? Are you avoiding that? Are you doing other things instead of your natural creative things? Because they might be more profitable? Yes, yeah. That's a huge one. Yes, and it's related to what comes naturally to me is not valuable in some way. right? It's relatable to everything that I work for, everything that I have achieved is more valuable, or is more what people need or want to see from me. And Taz says, I based everything on success and made sure to check off all the boxes to please others. Yes, and at 30 years old, I was already the boss. I had all I wanted, but was unhappy and ended up rebelling and burning out. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Taz, to hear that happened. Yeah, yeah. So success was really important for you, and success is really important for us, you know. Um, for most humans, we want to leave a legacy in some way. So success is not something to be, you know, to scorn or to just dismiss. The wish for success is really strong. Yeah, but it comes when it comes at a price, then something might, you know, you might want to shift your beliefs around success. So what does success mean to you? And are there other ways of being successful? What is success really to you? Being successful, what does that mean to you? To me now, before it meant something else, but you know, before it meant, to me it meant I need to be like a doctor. I was a doctor, so I did that, and I was miserable and I was unhappy and I was, you know, working all the time. So now to me success feels like doing something I love, helping others, and feel energized myself as well. That feels to me like real success. Fulfillment. Yeah. Yeah. And in the end it wasn't, probably because you said you were unhappy. Yeah. Sometimes we can that can also happen. We can discover during our lifetimes, we can discover how we've changed. Some, you know, we can be a certain way and then change and then think that other things are different, are more important. That's also perfectly fine. You know, there's no such thing as that we cannot make changes in our life. So it's okay to make a change. And oh, you okay? So now you get fulfillment by helping others. That's wonderful, wonderful. That's amazing. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. All right. Let me. Okay. So, are there any questions by now? So let me just ask that first. If there are any questions, and if they're not, I'm gonna. Let me see. If there are any questions, and then I don't think so. Okay. Well, there's one Q&A. Okay, I answered that already. Right. Okay, so just to summarize, can the moon phase or birth, of birth, sorry, can the moon phase of birth help or hinder you? Oh, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I have seen articles about that, that the moon phase where you were born in, so for example, the full moon or the new moon, or the where the moon was when you were born, are determining some parts of your personality or your character. So it can, some things will come more easy to you than others, and so that's just like the astrology sign where you're born under. And so yeah, that might just be something you want to look into. I'm waxing crescent moon. Okay, yeah. So that's the in the beginning stages of the moon cycle, just after the new moon. And I can. So you just said I always want to take action, but that is of course that you know that is something that happens in that phase. The waxing crescent moon is the moon phase where we come out of intention setting and we're full of like new ideas and inspiration, and we just want to take action on them. So that makes perfect sense. But it's really interesting to find out more about that, to find out more about the maybe even the combination between the moon phase you were born under and the astrology sign you were born under. I'm not a full I'm not a trained astrologer. I'm a self-taught astrologer, but I do not read charts, so I'm not, that's not I'm not good at that. I do more intuitive astrology. So that's something that I cannot help you with right now, but it's something that's really interesting question to look into. Yeah, procrastination. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm curious what you find out about that. So I'm gonna sum up the secrets again. We had the 7 secrets we discussed were, let me go back to my list because otherwise I don't know them anymore. Awareness, so where's your energy? The second secret is know the difference between feminine energy and masculine energy and where you're coming from. And if, it's also important to know do you want that, in that moment, do you want to come from masculine or from feminine energy? The third secret is cyclical living. The fourth secret is prioritize restoration over performance. I cannot stress this enough. Sleep, do naps, take breaks. It's so important for your body. The fifth secret was connecting to nature. The sixth one is creating sacred space to be able to turn inward and know what's going on for you. And the seventh secret is changing your beliefs around work, success, performance, achieving abundance, and energy as well. So I'd like to, there's one more question. How do you address the natural review or reporting process in the inner autumn? i.e. closing the loop before moving on to the next thing. I'm not really sure if I understand your question. I think you're referring to the Wild Power inner seasons, but I'm not sure what you mean by the natural review or reporting process. Is that like evaluation process? Okay. So closing the loop before moving on to the next thing. I'm just gonna give it a shot. I'm not sure if this is what you mean, but the inner seasons, like the spring, summer, fall, and winter, correspond to the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, and the inner autumn would be the luteal phase. So that would be the phase just after ovulation, between ovulation and having your period. And in that phase, we are more aware of self-critical voices. We are really good at paying attention to detail and finishing up. And so it is a great moment for evaluating what you have been doing so far in the moon cycle or in your menstrual cycle, to see if you're still on the right path, or if you want to pivot or change your plans or something like that. And so I like to use my luteal phase to work on detailed things, like writing out, like, for example, the whole webinar outline I just wrote in the luteal phase. My whole website I created in the luteal phase. That's, for me, where I need to pay attention to detail, that's where I do that. And so also, for example, administrative tasks I do when I'm in the luteal phase. I have way more energy then, and that might, by the way, be different for you. But for me, it's in the luteal phase. I have the most energy. I am really focused. I can, see every error I made. So that is how I do that. So I hope that's answering your question on the inner autumn phase.